What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 8th, I believe, episode of Awesomely Average. I am, of course, your average host, Aaron Cini, and with me tonight is a very, very cool guest. He is doing all sorts of stuff with D&D. He is a host of the ECG podcast. He is a character in the Isle of Misfit Trolls D&D, and he also plays a character in the Radio Roost D&D podcast. Welcome, my special guest, Adam Gumby. Adam, how the hell are you?
Hey, what's going on? Funny thing, I'll go ahead and start it out. It's called Isle of Misfit Rolls, but it's very unfortunate that the Twitter handle looks like Misfit Trolls. You're not the only person to...
Oh, did I say Trolls? I was reading it for sure. Yeah. I actually know that it's Isle of Misfit Rolls because I thought that was a very clever name. Trolls would be clever too, but...
It is.
Yeah. But you know what? I got to tell you, I fuck up the very beginning of every single one of these, so at least I got it out of the way. No, it's just... have a spelling error pop up too. I don't ever screen any of my shit.
No, it's just funny because I literally did the exact same thing when we started the Twitter. I was like, hold on, Misfit Trolls. It's like, oh no, those words just
fit rolls. Yeah. Yeah. Whoops. It is, in fact, the Isle of Misfit Rolls. For those of you who don't know, this show is where I go ahead and interview different content creators, podcasters, Twitch streamers, writers, directors. Last week, we had actor Alan McLeod on. Check out that episode anywhere you get your podcasts. So, yeah, usually, Adam, I go through like a beginning, middle, and end kind of cycle. Like, where did you start? What are kind of your current projects, and then kind of where do you hope to go with it? I'm going to switch it up on you tonight. You have so many cool things going on. I thought I would just break it down project by project. And so that I can kind of talk to you about all the different shows. Isle of Misfit Rolls is very, very different from, say, ECG podcast. So I thought it was best if we kind of broke it up and talked about all that stuff. Oh my God, we already got Colts fans in here. Hey. CWL Universe Colts hat. I'm already a fan.
I'm a fan of them.
I'm a Broncos fan. I'm not a Colts hater at all, though. You know, obviously, y'all sent me Peyton Manning. I'm not mad about it. So yeah, I was a fan before I knew you were a Colts fan. I've been following you on Twitter. We've been talking about doing this since January. I'm glad to finally have you here. So let's get to it and roll for initiative and talk. I want to start with Isle of Misfit Rolls. I think that's really a really cool show. So how long have you been doing it?
Isle of Misfit, oh Lord. The podcast has been live for a year. We've been playing for almost two.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And you guys have just the same campaign for all 2 years?
Actually, it's interesting. So we did the first year. We're like, hey, we're going to sit down. We're going to do this. We're going to make a podcast. Good time. We recorded like a year's worth of sessions. I was like, all right, now we have enough backlog. Let's start putting them out.
Okay.
And then that was like season 1, quote unquote, to us.
Yeah.
And then we've actually started playing other games that are also potential podcasts that have had editing done on them. So for the listener, it's like, yeah, we're going through season 1. For us, we're done with season 1, and we've been playing other things that are now also going to come out. So it's been a real fun, like, we're always playing, but also always putting stuff out.
Do you go back and listen to your sessions then, since they're that old, since it's like basically you're a year ahead of schedule as you put them out? Do you listen to kind of the old sessions and the old stories?
I listen to them because I'm the editor. So I have to listen to them.
You're required.
Yes.
Nice. I want to ask a little bit, for those who don't know, a little bit about your character in the game. So I found this on Twitter. Here's all the characters. Which one is you?
Well, first I want to start up. How good of a pun is this Mad City and then the Good Kids? You get that Kendrick Lamar album? It's really good.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so perfect. I actually feel bad for all my audio listeners on this episode. They got visual stuff starting right off the bat.
They should be on twitch.tv/awesomely-average.
That's right. Or be checking it out on YouTube later on VOD.
Exactly. Right. But I am, see the middle, see the girl in the middle with the white hair?
Mm-hmm.
I'm to the right. So I am alien magic man with the bat.
Okay. I love it. And tell me a little bit, like, what class race are you running?
I am a wizard, and I'm a Githyanki. So it's one of the weird classes that like is in like the 5th book after the game came out. But if anyone pays attention, Baldurs Gate 3, which just recently came out in early access, one of the main characters of that is like a green-skinned lady, and that's what she's one of those. So it's like this
Nice.
random race that nobody plays, and I'm like, I want to get weird, so let me just go insane. And I'm like, yeah, let me play. Literally, they're literally like pirate aliens,
I
basically.
love it.
It's wild. So I was like, yeah, let me do that. And then the extra race stuff in D&D, you get like +1 intelligence or whatever. It all worked out. So yeah, he's an alien wizard.
And those listening, what's your character's name?
Character's name is Almus.
Almus. Okay. Yeah, I love this. Also, if anybody wants to hear my thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3, it's exclusive currently in early access to PC and I don't know, Stadia. And you could hear my thoughts on a little podcast called Speaking of Stadia. All right, that's my plug for my own
Funny
show.
thing here, the guy plays the big red dude next to me in the again, audio people, I'm so sorry. He's the big
samurai guy.
Fighter. Yes. He played that game on Stadia because I think his CPU wasn't up to snuff or something. So he got Baldur's Gate 3 on Stadia and played it and had a good time with it.
That's awesome. I actually was lazy and not listening to my co-host and discovered last night that my save of Baldur's Gate is now gone because that's how early access games work.
Yeah, with the updates, it's like your save file's gone.
As soon as they update it, it's all over and dead. And well, now that you've walked me through these two, tell me a little bit about the rest of your party for those listening at home in case they want to dive into the show.
Yeah, so we have again with the Hobgoblin Fighter. We call him we say he has big BDE, big dad energy. And it's
I love that.
It's our boy Jake, and he's definitely like the dad of the group in the best way. In the middle, the girl with the white hair, who funny played by Erica. Her name's Aviana. She's a human blood hunter. Funny enough, the person who plays her, Erica, has never played or seen anything about The Witcher, and she's literally a girl who like did alchemical stuff to herself and got white hair and hunts monsters. She's like, I've never
turned yourself into a Witcher on accident. That's amazing.
We're like, you're Siri, and she's like, I don't know who that is. It's like, wow. Next to her, we have the Tiefling Rogue, which everyone loves Tieflings when they play D&D. Played by Jenny. She doesn't think she's a bad guy, but everyone else is. And then to the left of her is Chalk, who is our lizard folk druid. So he's an alligator man who's like 2 years old, and he eats people's faces. Is his whole thing because he doesn't belong to normal society. He lives in the woods with alligators. So that's a fun one. He's a good time.
What's up with him wearing Rocket Raccoon as a fur scarf?
That's our pet. We have about 30 pets at this point, and that's our favorite one. His name is Bach.
Oh, okay. So he is in fact alive. I just wanted to make sure because
No, he's living. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say a druid wearing a fur skin scarf doesn't sit well with me. I don't feel like you guys know what you're doing over there.
I love nature only to kill it.
Our last campaign, we had my buddy Brent. He is a druid in our game, and we had to draw out this creature, and we needed a cow to do it. Kind of like they did in Mandalorian, where they put the things up there to get out the rock snake. Yeah, and it was his plan. And then he's like, but I'm not going to touch that cow. And I was like, no, you're going to fucking kill that cow. You have to do that. This is your plan, and I'm not getting my hands dirty. And it was really fun to watch him get really sad as he killed the cow.
That's funny. Yeah, that campaign, Isle of Misfit Rolls, is people played it differently. The DM Mike told us, you guys are bad guys who have to do the bidding of like the church and save the world, like Suicide Squad, but like less Jared Leto. But not everyone plays it like that. I took it as like we're evil, and I think I'm one of the more evil characters because like the rogue Jenny, she's like, I think I'm a good guy. My character doesn't think they're bad at all. I'm like, I literally murder a child in like the 15th episode because I need to spell component. So
okay, I dig it. I'm a rogue in my game, but I'm also like so chaotic and love to just go out and murder people when I want to, and like my group gets mad at me.
There's always one in a group.
It's fun. Awesome, Unc. What up? Hello, thanks for joining us. Also, Grizz says pets in D&D don't have to be alive because he has a skeletal horse, and that sounds dope.
Let me tell you, spoiler alert, but that bat in that picture is not actually a bat. So I'll leave it at there.
Oh, who wants to know what the bat is? You'll have to listen and find out. That's how we get the viewers right there. You got to intrigue. People are really just here to hear about your Johnny Cage take because I teased it in Twitter. That's what we're going to get to at some point. But I love this photo. Let me actually bring it back up. Who did your guys' character artwork? Like, who put all this kind of stuff together? Because this is like really well done and looks amazing.
It's very good. Let me look on Twitter. Their name is Shay, but I can give you their exact Twitter handle.
Okay, I'll
They
put it
do a
in the
lot
show
of
notes.
D&D art. Yeah, I'll give it to you for show notes. But it's Shay. If you go to Misfit Rolls Twitter, we have tweeted. Yeah, they do commissions and artwork, and that was part of it. So it's very good. I like it a lot.
I love it. Yeah, it looks amazing. So check that out on Twitter. This is your pinned tweet, I believe, that I pulled up. So
Yeah,
should be very easy if you guys go to the Misfit Trolls. That one on purpose. Also, I'm gonna bring this banner back up. I just like everybody to know. See, like I get it. I understood. I typed it correctly. I just can't talk to save my life.
I'm with you.
I was also curious about your guys' setup. Like, how do you guys record, and how does everybody kind of see the game board? Do you guys have a game board, or is it all just up here?
Mike runs it Theater of the Mind. Because it's a podcast. So we do video to look at each other so we don't talk over each other and that kind of thing. But he runs like combat and explanation as Theater of the Mind, which is, not a map on a board.
Right.
Because it makes it easier for podcasts instead of being like over there. And it's like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, you have to go down this dark alley. Like,
Yeah.
We play Theater of the Mind because it helps better for podcast. So that is how we run it. But we do look at each other when we're playing. So some of the reactions and that stuff's real fun.
Nice. That's fun. So do you guys just do it all over like Zoom? Is that how you kind of put it all together? Or?
Yeah, we play on Discord. And that's how we've been doing it for years. We'll hop on Discord, jump in the video chat. We have little bots that record everyone's audio and you're good to go. And then I throw it together later.
That's awesome. Did you guys have any inspiration for starting this Critical Role, any other show like that, where you guys were like, we love D&D, we want to kind of play this, but we also want to put it out there for other people to listen to because we have some fun stories to tell?
Yes.
Any other stuff like that?
Yeah, well, everyone there is a fan of Critical Role, like as everyone should be who you enjoy D&D, because that's a really good show.
Yes.
We started it as Mike, our DM, and everyone who plays is a fan of Kind of Funny. So one day Mike put in a post, like me and him had been talking because we had played D&D before. He's like, hey, I kind of want to he wanted to run a game for the first time, and he's like, well, we should probably do a podcast too. I'm like, yeah, like that's fine, I'll do that. So he put in a post into the Facebook group, and then we got our players back, and then we went through everybody and we figured it out. So everyone there, Mike specifically wanted to have Kind of Funny people playing the D&D game. Like there's a bunch of random references. Like at the point we are right now, the person we met his name's Prince Kavash, and he's like sort of like a chubby-ish Peruvian dude who laughs a lot. Like it's Kevin, right?
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that throughout the entire campaign. So he's like, I want people from this community because he's a Kind of Funny best friend and he enjoys all that. And he's like, but I want to also play D&D, make a podcast. So it all kind of mixes together and goes in well.
Nice. Do you notice like a quality jump when you go back and you're listening to episodes that are a year old and you're editing them and all that, but then you're also like playing the current stuff? Have you seen how your group has kind of evolved and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're I'd have to say we're more comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
But I think after like the first or second session, we were pretty good as it is. And then I edit a lot. So if anything was weird, you won't ever hear it.
You won't ever know.
Yeah. But at this point, like we just like, we'll normally when we play a new setting or a new game, it's like, all right, I haven't been friends with your character yet. So I'm like, me and you are going to be buds this time. And it's real fun. It's a very consistent group. I mean, you're talking about you've played before. It's hard to get like a consistent good group. Yeah. And in the course of 2 or 3, however many years I said it was, I think we've missed like 5 sessions, like playing once a week in that entire time. Like it's very hard to get a good group, and I'm very happy I have one.
That's awesome. Do you guys plan? We kind of talked about seasons, and you were talking about like a year ago, but any new like seasons in the sense of new characters, new stories, things like that you guys want to plan on?
Yeah, we have a definitive end to season 1.
Okay.
And there's definitely plans to do season 2. And then, like I was saying, there's ideas for other shows. So I guess I can say it here, it's not a big deal, but we have a superhero, like high school, like X-Men style game that's done and recorded.
Oh, wow.
And it being edited now. I think the first 2 or 3 episodes are done on that one. They're not released yet, but they're edited. And then right now we're playing Avatar: The Last Airbender. Which is being edited as well. So we have a couple different settings until we catch up, in to the editing to where season 1 ends, and then we'll jump back into play that.
You segued so beautifully. If you could play a campaign in any setting, what would you pick? So you can't say superheroes and Airbender now because you did it.
Man, Airbender's so fun to play. Another setting I always liked. Oh God, I mean, I just took the good ones. Superheroes is definitely where it's at, right?
Yeah. And what is
Uh,
Last Airbender if not old school superheroes?
exactly. We've done both, but if I had to pick something outside of that, I guess you could do like a post-apocalyptic sort of, but not fully. So think of like a mix between like a Rage and a cyberpunk, like that sort of setting where it's like there's future tech, but the world's not like pristine, like Jetsons. It's dirty, but we're also still in the future.
Okay. I dig that. I would love to do like just a straight up cyberpunk tabletop. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, they have a game. I don't know how it plays, but they do have a cyberpunk game, which I was very interested in.
Grizz says, I want a tabletop RPG where you have your own custom Gundams. How do you feel about that? Would you do
There's
that?
there's got to be one out there. Actually, I think we talked about that at one point of doing a Gundam one. Oh, you know what's even better? Well, not better. Piggybacking off Gundams. Let me do a Power Rangers.
Oh, I'm all, yeah, get me in that one. I'm just the Blue Ranger class. Whatever that,
Yeah, whatever that
that means. That's me. Oh man, that would be great. Grizz, you should do that show with Travail. I'd watch that. So after doing all this and like kind of messing around and playing these different characters, do you have any desire to do like voice acting or anything like that you'd like to expand on from this?
So playing the different games kind of gives you that feeling where you can play a different character and you get to play it up and like I get to be this other character, I get to do a voice, I get to think different and all that. I tried voice acting.
Okay.
Not so much as if so I have a friend who actually does that professionally. Like he's a mocap actor, voice act, like he does all that stuff. Again, a dude I actually play fantasy football with who didn't tell me for 3 years that's what his job was because he didn't think it was important. He's a weird dude. I love him though. So I was like, I'm gonna try this out. And I actually did it. The thing is that it takes a lot of work. So there's a website called, I think it's called Casting Call Auditions or something like that, where you go on there, people put out posts. Most of it's unpaid, some of it's paid, but it's like, hey, I'm making a visual novel. I'm one dude, I'm making it. I need someone to do voices. And you can literally go on there and give your auditions and then you can get it back. I got back, it was a fan made Command and Conquer like remake.
Oh, nice.
And I got the what is it? Battle State, like the big tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. And they were like, "Hey, send us this lines of you yelling, army stuff." And I did that, and I was like, "This is super cool." But then I also realized that was when I had a long weekend off of work, and I'm like, "This is a lot of work. Like this is like your one hobby." So I've been interested. I've asked people around. I've done a little bit of the legwork, and it seems fun, but I've got other hobbies I'd rather do. But it was definitely a fun thing to do. If you have any interest, I think it's just Google like casting call audition or whatever, and you'll find the website. But I think it's cool. It's very hard. My friend who does it said the number one thing, he said, look at that word voice actor. That second word is actually the most important part. Like you need to be an actual actor. Like he took theater for like 8 years. I'm like, you're right. Because trying to do it, man, it's tough. But I also had another friend who did a bunch of commercial work for mattresses, and it's like that pays well too. So I don't know.
There you go. Have you heard of the D&D podcast Dragons and Things? They don't play 5e; they play Pathfinder.
I don't think I've heard of them. I mean, I know Pathfinder, of course, but I don't think I've ever heard of them specifically.
They spun off from having a YouTube series called Walking in Circles. And a buddy of mine is one of their characters that they play live every week. And that all started from a guy that he knew that was really into voice acting, and that's how they all kind of got together. They were all actors, and yeah, it sounds like it's a ton. But I was just curious. Usually, like it gives me the bug, right? When I play D&D and I do all the voice, and I just go all the way in, and I really try to like take over that character. It definitely is always like, oh, that'd be really fun to just be able to go in and do that.
It would be great, but it's definitely a job. It is not a hobby.
I auditioned for Ultimate Alliance 2 when I was at Comic-Con way back in 2009. I was there covering games for a website called Crave Online. And they just randomly had like a fan thing where you went into a professional sound booth and recorded some lines as like a henchman. And that was enough. Like I've done it. I've auditioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have a credit technically. So it's all good.
That's awesome.
It's fun, but man, it is work. Yeah. That's a full-time job for sure.
For sure. All right, that takes me to my next segment. Unless you have anything else that you want to say about the Isle of Misfit Rolls. You'll play all the stuff at the end, but if there's anything else that you just want to share about being on a D&D podcast that's weekly for 2 years, that's intense.
Yeah, I would just say if anyone has even a slight interest, get a good group. It's going to not be that many people. We've got, I think, like 6 or whatever. You don't have to have that many people. Just play, because just playing D&D, even without it being a podcast, is awesome. It's a super fun game. Lets you be creative, have a good time. I would suggest it to anybody, even if you're not like a mega nerd or whatever. It's just fun. Like, it's not as nerdy as you think. By the way, at this point, Critical Role made it where everyone thinks it's cool. So go for it.
It's no longer, they literally broke the stigma off of it, which I think is really impressive. I didn't start playing until 2 years ago. I had never played D&D, and then this group got together with me, and it's been a ton of fun. So
it's great. What do you play? I know you said rogue, but is that the only character you've done?
Yeah, just a half dark elf, half human. Rogue. I'm basically just Driz from the books. I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that stuff when I made my character. I just thought he looked cool and went for it. But yeah, I love being a rogue. And then I have another group. It's mostly comprised of the same people, just a couple people that couldn't make it. And we have a Star Wars one where I play a Jedi.
Oh God, Star Wars RPG sounds good.
It's really fun, and not only am I a Jedi, but my kid, we're actually letting him play in that one, and he is my Padawan, and that is a lot of fun to get like my 9-year-old in there as my Padawan, and I'm the Jedi, and yeah, that is cool. That's a good time.
That sounds awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to start talking about ECG podcast as well, which means East Coast Gamers, right? Not gaming, or is it gaming?
East Coast. It was East Coast Games.
Games. Okay. If I don't butcher the title of every one of your podcasts this episode, what am I doing?
We changed it. I officially changed it in the podcast feed to ECG, but if you type in East Coast Games, it still pops up. So whatever.
Nice. Also, I'd like everybody to, I know it's not EKG, but this was the funniest thing I could come up with was check your heart, ECG. Instead of EKG. It's fine, everybody. It's fine. So it's a podcast with people that you've never met. You guys say that at the intro of every episode. How did this come about? Was this like a Twitter thing? How did you guys all meet?
I'll give you a guess. It's how the first podcast went.
Kind of funny best friends.
Yep. I made a post. I was like, I want to do a podcast. I put the post in the Facebook group, and here we go. A couple of those guys have met, and I was actually going to meet one of them at PAX, and that was literally the PAX before COVID hit.
Man.
So 2 of them have met each other, but I was like, hey, I want to do a gaming podcast. I know there's a bunch of them. Like, let's do something a little different. Let's just, have fun and have conversations and like do silly things, random reviews whenever we feel like it. And yeah, I put it out there, and you'd be shocked if you just put stuff out there that like you'll get people to respond.
Yeah, totally. I've seen that firsthand, especially in the Facebook group, how much they will come out in droves and want to just connect and do things together. And how many guys do you have on that podcast at this point? I know sometimes you guys like rotate in, but
yeah, it's rotate. Let's see. I think it's 5 total, 5 normal hosts, and then we rotate people in. That was the whole initiative this year. Is like, I want to get on a guest like every other week if we can. Like,
nice.
It's not more. So,
and you guys now kind of have 2 shows within that, right? It's kind of you guys have the news show, and then you guys have more of that games cast style one where you guys talk about like you go in depth into a game that you guys have been playing.
Yeah, so we'll have like a general like gaming talk about either, we just don't try to do too much news, but like once in a while when news stuff is or anything gaming related, like Gamecast style. And then also I started doing, because I wanted to do a little extra, we did the like a game of the month kind of a club thing, where we do like an in-depth review of a game, recent or in the past. And that first one was Miles Morales, which was a good time.
Oh, that was the launch of that kind of new show.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I hear your Hitman episode is going to be just straight fire.
Probably should be.
It's going to be really good. I hear you have some incredible guests lined up. So
wait a minute. Hold on. We're doing it already. There we go.
I know you have to. Yeah. See, I know the mirror camera, man. It's not easy. It's not easy. I said news stories before kind of hearing about the show, but how do you guys coordinate like what topics you're going to cover? I'm always curious when people create kind of together how that dynamic looks. Do you have somebody that just puts together the doc and then you guys just all talk about it, or is it more collaborative than that?
It's a little bit of both. Well, as far as the review stuff goes, I hit up a bunch of people, you included, and I was like, hey, do you want to do this thing? And what is the thing you'd be interested in? And then we also had our own list. But for like the weekly show, it's like this past week we did games you've played that are obscure or no one else has ever played or whatever. And that was Erica was like, I hit her up like, a month ago and I sent all those DMs. I'm like, what do you want to talk about? She's like, how about all these GameCube games that only I play and no one else does? I'm like, we can make that a whole show. So that is how that stuff comes around. Like when
I love it.
The specific ones, but otherwise it'll be like, we normally record on Thursdays. So it'll be, on Wednesday or Thursday morning. It's like, hey, this stuff has happened, or does anyone have anything at all, or we can do something else. So it's a collaborative. That's mostly Chris who puts that to the host. Nice. And then we figure it out from there. So it'd be like, a couple episodes ago, we'll get to the Johnny Cage thing, but George was like, I want to talk about Mortal Kombat. That's before the trailer came out. He's like, I want to talk about this Mortal Kombat movie. I'm like, that could be half the show. Do whatever you want to do. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're not getting paid for this. Just go have fun, man.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool to hear that it's a little bit more collaborative. Like, for speaking of Stadia, I'm not going to lie. Porter's like, hey, I put the doc together and then I go through it and make sure I like all the stories and then understand it. And then I jump into here and like my side is more just getting the banners ready and making sure the stream looks good and like putting that piece together. And then I'm the one who like uploads it to SoundCloud. But Porter is absolutely the legwork when it comes to our podcast. So it's good to know that you guys are a little bit more collaborative than that instead of me just completely leaning on my co-host to go hunt down stories about Stadia.
Oh yeah, no, it's collab as much as we can, and then make Chris do most of the organizing afterwards.
Incredible. Hey Mike, if you want to know who that guest is going to be on the Hitman episode, I gotta tell you, you're just gonna have to watch. Like I'm not here to spoil things. I signed an NDA, so I just watch it. I guess it's gonna be really good though. I hear
that's my DM, by the way.
And then do you guys split production responsibilities?
When it comes to editing, I do all the editing for every podcast. Well, not every podcast I'm on. 2 of the 3 podcasts I'm on, I do the editing. And for most of the shows I've ever been on, I do it just because I have the computer. I know how to do it. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it. But then when it comes to the other parts of production, like Mike's the DM for Misfit Rolls. So Mike does literally all of that work to make it run. And I'm just like, all right, let me take the audio we have and turn it into a show. ECG is, again, we make Chris do most of the organizing and actually like making the flow of the show. And then he also does the YouTube for that one. So that is the thing that he does. And then I do the audio because again, I can literally edit an ECG podcast in like 10 minutes, if that. It doesn't take any time at all. Most of the time, sometimes it's a little difficult. So I take on the audio stuff just because I'm like, whatever, I can do it. And I'm also comfortable with it. And everything else, you guys can handle that.
Talk to me a little bit about kind of your audio editing process. Part of this show is I want to get other people to start creating things they've always thought about. And I think that could always be a barrier. Like, how much am I going to have to edit the audio and things like that? And I'm sure the D&D podcast is so much more difficult, but with like the gaming podcast, are you just taking notes mentally of like timestamps of when you want to chop things? Or if you're like, oh, I just probably need to cut that out really quick. Or do you just go back and listen to the episode and figure out what you want to cut out? What's kind of the editing process on that side?
As far as that, I don't want to listen to the entire thing. I'm not one of those there are people I used to be like super, like listen to everything. Now I'm just like, if I'm work smarter, not harder. Well, I will take notes, like timestamps, like about this is the break. This is like a small thing that be cut out. Or I know that's about 35 minutes or whatever. And I'll do that and make my life a lot easier than trying to listen to the whole thing. I used to do that. On a very slow laptop, and boy, it took forever to do anything. And now I'm a lot smarter with it. It's really not difficult if anyone wants to get into it, especially depending on the kind of show. Like I said, it takes me 5 minutes to edit ECG most of the time, and that's not even like I'm a master at it. It's just the way that I organize it and the way that show comes out. It doesn't take a lot. It's like noise gate, truncate silence, cut out anything if there needs to be, and it's done. Throw the music in the front and the back.
Nice. What about the D&D? Is that one a totally different process for Misfit Rolls?
Misfit Rolls is much different because I'm trying to craft a story based out of what we have. So we'll say we have like a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 45 minute session, like live. That's what the session was. I'll cut that down to an hour episode.
Wow.
Just because I want that story. Because if I leave it the way that it is, because I want, when someone sees a 3-hour thing for a podcast, normally you're turned off. Not always. Like, again, you'll Critical Role before 4.5 hours doesn't matter. Do what you want to do. But for me, I was like, I want to keep it to an hour to make it easy, make it quick, make everyone get through it. So for that, I'm very meticulous with that one. It's like I'll get notes from the players who actually take notes because I don't take notes when we game. I know it's my sin. And I'm like, all right, this part's interesting. This was just us talking. That's not, that can go. This is important to the story. This will be down the line. This one is, and I will go through that. And like the last episode we did was an hour and 15 minutes runtime, and it took me 5 hours to edit. But that was my choice, and that's the way that I want to do that one specifically. So yeah, Misfit Rolls takes a lot of time, but that's because that's the way that I want to do that particular show.
And you want to have that type of flow. The Birdman 53 says, "Yeah, boy."
Jake, that's the big the BDE guy.
Oh, nice. I love the look of your character, and BDE makes me laugh. So that's great. Mike has jumped into the show a couple of times. So Mike, welcome back. Appreciate it, man. And love your DMing. So talk to me about, maybe like guest spotting or being like on the D&D type stuff. Let's do it. Hey. That's all I'm here for, is to plug myself. Nothing else. That's it. That's all this show actually is feeding my own ego. Do you guys plan on doing like Let's Plays or any type of streaming stuff or anything like that?
We have streamed before, and Chris specifically. So he, I think a couple times a week, he'll stream on his own, and we'll jump in there with him. Okay. And then he also has a thing called Rental Rush. I'll go ahead and plug him now, where again, it was different before COVID, but he would have a friend come over. It's like whenever the way he pitches, like you go to Blockbuster when you're a kid, you rent a thing, you got to get it done by Sunday night when you got to return it. And he'll sit down with a friend and they'll just play an entire game over the course of the weekend before like the clock runs out. So that's definitely a Chris thing. Okay. With the Twitch streaming and all that, but we support him. Like I've jumped in his streams all the time. We played Fall Guys together, and we do all that stuff. So the show doesn't necessarily do it, but everyone in the show like jumps into Chris's, so it kind of works out.
Nice. So he already has an established channel. That probably just makes your guys' life easier to just kind of jump in and play games with him.
Yeah, let me just piggyback off Chris even more.
Love it. Do you guys think by the end of the year you guys will want to do like a ECG Extra Life or anything like that, where you guys kind of do a big stream as like a channel or anything?
That'd be a good idea. I'm not against that. We wanted to do that with the D&D stuff, and that didn't end up materializing, but I would be down to do anything with Extra, because I'm like, yeah, let me play a video game for charity. I'm not against that.
Yeah,
so
sure.
That's the thing that might come up. Again, it depends on what Chris wants to do, but I'm not against it. I don't think he's necessarily against it either. So that would be cool to like jump into that more, because I tried streaming on my own back in the day and could not stick with that, but I enjoy it. So jumping on
somebody else's makes it a little easier. Yeah, less pressure for sure. Do you have a preferred console or service that you personally like to cover when talking about video games, news, that or services straight up at Stadia? I see you.
No, yeah, I'm mostly an Xbox gamer. I'm not a fanboy of any kind, but that is my preferred console.
But you typically stick to Xbox.
Yeah, and then of course Game Pass. We're talking about service. I have Game Pass Ultimate, so I get all the PC games and the Xbox games, and that's a good time. That's a good service.
It really is, and I even talk about it on Speaking of Stadia all the time. I feel like I find a little bit more lag personally with Game Pass, just in terms of tech, but they're destroying Google when it comes to what a business model looks like and how to nail down what a streaming service should be. I mean, yeah. Do you have the new Xbox then?
Yeah, I have all the stuff. I'm spend money on dumb stuff. So yeah, I have.
Hey, Xbox. Amen, brother. I'm here with you. It's with you.
Series X, PS5, and then a pretty decent PC. The only thing I'm missing is a 3080. Outside of that, I'm good to go on the PC side.
Oh man, that's the one thing. I have a PS5. I haven't gotten my hands on the Xbox yet, but plan on it. And then I have a stock PC. It's just like I buy power gaming rig that I found in Best Buy a couple years ago. I'm the most Greg Miller in that way. Like I don't understand your turbo taxes and all that.
Actually, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be that guy, because I was never like a PC gamer master race guy. But then I got a PC. I was like, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah, like, okay, this looks really good.
I was doing ray tracing like 2 years ago, and I was like, all right, this is nice. But if I'm sitting down on the couch, I like the Xbox just because I like controllers my friends are at. But then, yeah, if you want to play a first party game, like, of course, you can play the PlayStation. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have to have a PlayStation for an exclusive machine. You're not missing out on your God of Wars and your Spider-Mans and your whatnots. Like you
Trying to play
said,
my
Miles
Persona
Morales
5.
was
Yeah,
fantastic.
love Miles Morales so much.
It was such a good game. Actually, because I didn't put it in as the banner, let's talk for a second. We got the big news that they're going to probably reboot Superman. We have Ta-Nehisi Coates coming in as the writer. He's written for Black Panther, done a lot of essays, written a bunch of books, one which was an incredible HBO documentary. I'm reading the book right now, The Worlds Between. Check it out. But what is your take? Do you want to see Henry Cavill come back to the Cape, or do you want to see Black Superman?
I want to see both, to be honest with you. Again, guys, I looked up some of his work. He said Black Panther is like probably the biggest thing in like I think like 2016 to 2020 or something.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it, because then I looked at the actual like Black Panther the film, and I looked at Coogler and I looked at the other writer, and it's like, yeah, like if you're gonna do this kind of story, you need to have people with that perspective.
Yeah.
Because like Black Panther was great and it was a celebration of Black culture and it was fantastic. And that movie did super. I didn't think that movie was gonna do that well. I'm like, it'll do good, but like that movie was like number one for like 3 months or two, whatever, a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, so clearly people want to watch this. So I would love to see a Black Superman story. And if you're gonna do it, like I said, get a person who understands the cult. Like that guy, I looked him up after you told me him, and I had heard the news earlier. I'm like, this is the guy you want doing it. Like you don't want just Jeff Johns writing it because who wants that?
Right. I can't imagine if they were like, and J.J. Abrams to pin the new Black Superman movie.
I don't want that at all. So that'll be good. Again, I hope it's good. I want DC movies to be good. That's the guy to do it. Like if you're going to get people who know what they're doing to do it, awesome. And as far
speaking about bringing people in from that perspective and understanding that side of the world and understanding like just that literal look at the world, if they do Black Superman and we have Ta-Nehisi Coates writing the screenplay, who do you bring in as director? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, they probably need to be Black. That would make sense. My mind immediately goes to Coogler because I've literally been Wikipediaing him all day.
Sure.
But it doesn't.
I wouldn't be mad about Ryan Coogler. I love that guy.
I don't know if he wants to do that much, but I wouldn't be against it. But I think if you're going to do that, if that's going to be the focus, if it's just that the character happens to be Black, whatever. If the story is about the fact that he is Black Superman, I feel like the more people you have to show that experience, the better. Like I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm sure that there's some director who's made like an indie movie and a TV show and is like perfect for it. So I'm not that up on directors, but I'm like, who made Lovecraft Country? Is that a Black guy? That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah,
I like Lovecraft Country a lot, and that's kind of that story had a lot to do with race. So
yeah. Do you have an actor in mind that you'd want to see play Black Superman?
And again, that's another thing where I like the unknowns. Like I didn't know who Henry Cavill was beforehand. Yeah. God, I don't know, to be honest with you. That's tough. They're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna say if it's good or not.
I can't remember his name to save my life. I want the guy from Lovecraft Country.
If they put him and whoever directed that, again, I don't know if that director's Black or not, but I love him. Like he's great. Like I say, Lovecraft Country is awesome.
Yeah, and that guy is stacked. He looks like Superman. Like that is very easy to see him as a superhero in that show.
Yeah, so. Because again, like I didn't know much about Chadwick Boseman before he did Black Panther, and it's like, oh no, I mean I knew him, but I didn't know him like that. And
sure.
Like, oh, this guy's great. So, I'm sure they'll bring in the right. They seem to know what they're doing when they let people do when they let people create things.
Yeah. Instead of just taking over control, and then we have to get a 4-hour Zack Snyder cut. Anyways, I digress. Drifter Poet Aaron Powers, hey buddy. Coates also had a good run on Cap. He had a great run on Captain America. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed his run on both of those. Talking about Black Panther was really, really, really good, but so was his Captain America run. So if you have a chance, go back and read those. Get Marvel Ultimate or whatever it's called, where you can just read them all backdated.
And then I will say,
thing I was complaining to you about.
Oh, you're fine. And I love Henry Cavill as a person. As an actor, he is not the problem with those movies. I don't think anyone thinks that he is. So I loved it if they did reboot it and did different stories. I'd be happy to have him back because I like Henry Cavill. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he's a good actor.
It's weird because there's so much speculation on both sides, and like, if we're gonna get Flashpoint to just reset everything, you get to cherry pick what you keep and what you toss.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, this didn't work. Okay, it's gone. Oh, people still love Gal Gadot. Okay, well, we're gonna keep her. Like, what does Flashpoint break and fix and change is kind of anybody's guess. So, yeah.
If that movie comes out, been waiting for that movie for like 7 years.
Which one? The Snyder Cut?
No, Flashpoint.
Oh yeah, Flashpoint. I was like, Snyder Cut's March 18th. I have the day off. I'm ready for 4 hours of Snyder goodness.
I'm ready for that. Now, I mean, again, Flashpoint. There's so many ways you could take it. I love that story, and yet it literally gives you the ability to do anything. Like you could have.
Literally.
I mean, I don't think that they'll go as far as like the animated version, which is the version that I've watched with came out, like 4 years ago from DC Animation, where it's great, where like Thomas Wayne is just murking people left and right. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to do that in this movie, but yeah,
I would be in for it.
I'd love it.
A timeline where Bruce is the one who got killed in an alleyway and he's just taking people out, just Deadpooling people. Yeah, I'm into that. All right, sorry, I derailed us into comic books, but I want to have one more question on the gaming podcast. If you could have a game studio on the podcast, who would you pick? Any studio, like a creative director or whatever, come on and talk to you about video games.
Do I do this selfishly or for the podcast? That's the question.
Selfishly, for sure.
Oh, selfishly? Give me the studio head of Firaxis, because XCOM 2 is the greatest video game ever made.
That is a take. What is that makes your Luke Cage take look like mayonnaise. Like it's so mild.
Well, I mean, I just like XCOM 2. I don't know what to tell you.
It's great.
No, seriously.
Okay, for the podcast, then who?
You probably want to create. I mean, you want to like, you know what? Phil Spencer. I know he's not a game studio guy specifically.
No, but that'd be awesome.
I love Phil. I love everything he's about. I love his message. Seems like such a cool guy to sit down and talk to, just about like not just games, but like the business in general. I think that would be awesome, because I would love to talk to like a Druckmann or like one of these studio heads at these big studios. But like, let me talk to the business guy who also cares about the games. Like that, you get a twofer there. So, and I'm like,
did you watch Apple TV's Ted Lasso?
I've heard great things. Never watched though.
So good. That's who he reminds me of, is Ted Lasso. Just this happy-go-lucky leader, just is so full of positivity and just is trying to do his best. Oh yeah, love it. The Birdman 53 says Oblivion just for me.
I got you, Jake.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Well, now I just have a very quick word from my sponsor, CreteandCo.com. Crete & Co. is an awesome clothing company by my friends, Mike and Kelsey. They are absolutely incredible. I wear this shirt literally every single episode.
That Furby shirt, God. Mike's a madman.
Mike is a madman, and I love them both so much. CreteandCo.com is where you can find all sorts of stuff. They have t-shirts for guys, girls, unisex. They also have hoodies, all sorts of things for your needs. They also do this really cool thing, exclusive monthly shirts. So they have a new shirt that comes in at the beginning of the month. Once it's out, it's out. You can get it exclusive. They're different designs all the time. It's awesome. So go check them out. And tell them I sent you by using the code AAverage15 and you get 15% off. So my audio listeners, again, it's AAverage15 for 15% off at CreteandCo.com, KRETNCO.com. We were talking about comic books earlier, and the first time I asked Kelsey how to pronounce it, she told me, and I was like, oh, so like the Kree in a tin. Like the Kree from
you were an idiot for saying that.
The only way I could, and she was like, "Yes, like the Kree in a tin." And I'm like, all right, cool.
I love Kelsey and Mike so much.
They're wonderful people. So not only are you getting some really kick-ass shirts and sweatshirts, you're supporting kick-ass people who are just so great. Awesome. This one is going to be fairly short because I don't have a ton of questions on it, but I want to talk about dialing into Radio Roost. This is one of the new things that you've been doing. Walk me through that show just a little bit and how you got started over there, because this is a fairly recent endeavor for you, right?
Yeah, it's only been out for 2 weeks, so there's 3 episodes. So I was playing a streamed game on Twitch of Rime of the Frost Maiden, which is the last D&D adventure that came out. We had a dude named Zach. He was looking for people. I was like, oh, I'd love to play. So we had that group. Zach eventually got burned out because he was literally playing 5 or 6 games a week. And I'm like, I don't blame you, dude. That's a lot of D&D games to run on Twitch. So then some of the other people we were with, Tess and Ellen, were like, hey, why don't you guys come play Savage Worlds with us, which is another RPG system. Like, everyone in the group's like, sure, that sounds awesome. We'll do that. And then I was like, I want to turn it into a podcast because that's what I want to do. I'm like, awesome, have at it. But pretty much we play a Savage World, so it's a different system, but it's a really good fun system. And the premise is that we are college students going to East Texas University. We're all freshmen at the moment, and then it's sort of like Buffy or whatever. Where it's like there's monsters are real, but no one knows that at the beginning. So we all get to play like kids going to Texas college and then like having to deal with monsters and the college stuff. And I love it because I get to do my Texas accent and it's my favorite accent to do.
Let's hear it.
Well, howdy, y'all. I actually, and it's my character. His name's Ahmed Jackson. And I was watching Cobra Kai and I was like, what would be really fun to be a Texas college kid who's black. And he is like, all right, if you don't strike first, you got to strike hard. You know what I'm saying? That's the character, Ahmed. So it's a great time. I really enjoy playing that. And it's awesome because I don't have to edit it. So I just show up, do the recording, and then I'm out. And then
nice.
Take care otherwise.
And how many episodes are you guys in on that one?
There's 3 out right now, and those come out on Friday. So we're going to have the 4th one come out in the next couple of days.
Nice. That's awesome. Other than clearly the premise, how else does this differ from like Misfits?
I mean, the premise is the big one, just the fact that we're like in 2020 playing college kids.
Day
and then the system's different. I had never played Savage Worlds before. I like the system a lot now playing it. I think it's a really good system. D&D 5e is definitely the base system. You get people interested in RPGs, but there are other good systems out there, and I think this is one of them for sure. And then again, just getting to be a player, not have to worry about anything, and just trying to be, like a fun guy to be in the group with is a great time. I don't have to worry. Don't have to write down time codes. Don't have to worry about the story. I'm just here to play and be however I'm going to be. And that's a fun time just being a player.
That's my favorite thing about guest spotting on podcasts. I love just popping in, talking about fun stuff, and then bouncing.
Yep. I have no, I'm very attached. I want to promote and I want it to do well. And Tess the other day told me that someone, I believe they have somebody who transcribes the podcast. And they said the person who's transcribing it loves Ahmed and is like their favorite. Every time he speaks, that's their favorite person. I'm like, wow, I've never had a fan speak to me in that way that I know of. And I'm like, that's awesome. So I'm all about that.
That's really cool. All right. For anybody still watching at home, this is your chance to get your questions in. We're about to go to the Ask Me Anything after I do rapid fire. But once I go through the rapid fire questions, go ahead and get those into chat right now. I'll ask him anything you want, literally anything. Embarrass him horribly if you wish. Since I know you have some friends listening here, Adam. Also, if you're just really curious about like what it takes to record a D&D podcast, or like I said, I did ask him some editing questions, but if you have other stuff about that, hit him up. Let's do this thing. Get those questions ready. Before I start rapid fire, what is your problem with Johnny Cage?
I don't have a problem with Johnny Cage.
He's fine. No, he's better than fine. He's an OG Mortal Kombat character.
Here's what yes, he's an OG Mortal Kombat character, and I like the character. The point was George said if he's very upset that he's not in it. I'm like, has Johnny Cage ever been on the cover of a Mortal Kombat game? If Sub-Zero and Scorpion are in the movie, that's what people actually care about. Again, I like Johnny. I think he's fine. I don't think he is a quintessential has to be in the movie character.
But we have Sonya Blade in it, and those two have to have a baby.
Eventually, yes. That's in the future. We're not there yet.
Also, I think Cole is just secretly a Johnny Cage origin story.
He seems like it, right?
Yeah. But how can you have a problem with a guy who can do the splits and dick punch people?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but
that's a power move.
It's a cool move, but where's I want Smoke. I care more about Smoke than anybody.
We got Smoke. We got a nice big shot of Smoke.
Yeah, we got Reptile. We got Smoke. Yes, we can save Johnny for the sequel, and he'll be an old man who punched people in the dick. It's great. But again, also, he already had a movie where he was the main star. So
kinda.
He was definitely the main guy in that first Mortal Kombat movie.
You don't think Liu Kang was the first one?
Eventually, once they get to Outworld, I watched this movie yesterday, by the way. Once they get to Outworld, he is, but the whole beginning of that movie, Getting to the Island, it's all Johnny Cage.
That's true. They really do focus heavily on Johnny Cage. I watched it last week, actually. After I watched the day the trailer dropped, I was like, "Nah, I got to go watch the '90s one again."
Yeah,
that's true. Johnny Cage does get a lot of spotlight, but that's like saying you don't put Luke Kang in this one because Luke Kang was in the other one.
I mean, I'm not saying you don't. Again, I'm not saying he shouldn't be in it. I'm just not going to boycott the movie if he's not in it.
I mean, I'm not here to boycott it, but like our boy deserves some love. That's all I'm saying.
He'll show up. He'll be the random cameo at the end, and then Melina will bite his head off.
That's true. He probably will be the like back door to a sequel. Like you can already see the post-credit scene where he walks in, rips off his sunglasses, and is like, "Did somebody call for an actor?" And some really terrible line, and then everybody's like, "Oh, it's him."
Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's probably how it's gonna happen.
But he's fine. He's not my favorite character in the game, even a little bit.
Yeah, but listen, what I do on this show is I like to take a really small thing and blow it out of proportion. I don't know if you watched the show with Emmett a couple weeks ago, but I really honed in on the fact that guy did not ever play a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, that was fun. It was more worse that he said he only played 10 minutes of a Mario game ever.
Of all the Marios.
Yeah.
35 years worth of Mario, 10 minutes.
You don't have to love Mario, but to only play 10 minutes in history is weird. Let's get on Emmett.
Exactly. Like you just deflecting. That was next level. I'm gonna clip this out and put that out to Twitter just for Emmett to watch him. You just shift gears over to him.
I'm all about it. Let's go.
I love it. All right, man. Welcome to Rapid Fire. You know the drill. I ask you questions, you answer as fast as possible, and we get to it. And then I do have a couple of questions in the comments before we wrap this up for you. So, Rapid Fire, PC or console?
Console.
Incorrect. Multiplayer, single player. Actually, that was correct. Sorry. I'm just
Come on, get it together. Multiplayer.
Yeah, okay. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Attaboy. Superman or Batman?
Batman.
Wrong. Coke or Pepsi?
Vanilla Pepsi.
Ooh, very correct. Yes. Best fast food burger?
Hardee's.
That is a take. It's not a bad
correct.
take. It was just shocking. I was not prepared. Best D&D race?
Get the Yankee, without a doubt.
Best D&D class? Wizard.
Actually, Blood Hunter.
I like rogues, but I'm just partial. And that does it for Rapid Fire. Congratulations. You only got me to say wrong twice. Hardee's is definitely an opinion.
So here's the thing. I was thinking, I'm like, McDonald's, like, you know what? Hardee's is considered fast food. Hardee's started the Angus burger thing, and they also had a burger with Jack Daniel's sauce. And I'm like, you know what? Hardee's is secretly the winner that no one cares about.
See, and I had Hardee's as a kid, and then out here for some reason they're all rebranded as Carl's Jr. now.
Ooh, those are awful.
Right. And it literally went downhill, but a sourdough bun burger from Hardee's was like my jam.
Sourdough Angus with Jack Daniel's sauce. I'm like, that's really good for a fast food place, to be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, just nothing but respect for the choice, really.
I had to pull that one out of nowhere because I haven't eaten at Hardee's in like 3 years.
Oh, my twin is here. Hey, Courtney, thanks for joining us. This person is literally just a carbon copy of me in Hawaii, although she got the better end of that deal of where we live. Sweet. So our first question for you, I hope this makes sense. How many Jacksons?
Oh, so this is in how many Jacksons? One of the last episode. So Radio Roost, there's a joke that, so my character's name's Ahmed Jackson. And then Erica made a character. She came a session late, and her character also last name is Jackson, completely by random. We didn't talk about it. It happened. And then there's a character that you meet in the module whose name is Jackson Green. We're like, you know what? His name's Jackson Green Jackson now. And so now there's a joke that like a third of the kids on this campus last name is Jackson.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. And Mike, he's your OG DM, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
OG doesn't mean good.
Just wanted to check. Sorry, Mike. OG doesn't mean good. Robin Shao was absolutely the star. Who did Robin Shao play?
I don't remember.
Well, it wasn't Johnny. So, what's your wish for an XCOM style game?
Oh man, I mean, give me. It's just honestly any setting with XCOM. Like I love Gears Tactics because it's just Gears in XCOM. Again, it doesn't matter. Any setting in XCOM is great. You can give me a D&D XCOM game. I'd be happy with it. A fantasy XCOM game, Assassin's Creed XCOM game, doesn't matter. I love dudes on tiles and moving them around, and I enjoy that. So it does not matter. Literally any game with XCOM is good.
Okay.
Mario Rabbids, people love that game. That's literally Mario XCOM. That's all it is.
Okay. Now, let's just pretend that, say someone's never played an XCOM ever.
Mm-hmm.
Where would they jump in?
XCOM 2.
Okay.
The story from the first one, it's like aliens invaded and we lost. That's all you need to know.
Okay. Fair.
That game is cheap.
AC XCOM. That's interesting.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know how that would work, but it'd be cool.
But it would be cool. I would definitely do it.
Yeah.
Nice. Apparently Robin is just the MVP of that movie. I'm gonna have to go look up Robin after this.
Jake, who is that? Please tell us what character that is. I don't know what you're talking about. I love that original, but I don't know the actors' names from that movie.
Oh yeah, is that who plays Liu Kang?
Okay, well yeah, Liu Kang's awesome in that movie. So if you're correct, you're 100% on the money.
Here's Animal. Now I'm gonna take this question in two different directions. So first of all, which series do you prefer, Animal Crossing or Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed.
Which one would make a better XCOM?
Mm-hmm.
Now let me pitch you this.
Okay.
Animal Crossing Neighbor War.
Mm-hmm.
And you fight the people that you've brought to your island XCOM style.
Yeah. I could see it working because again, it would take Mario Rabbids, but just have like an Animal Crossing DLC where you're going to islands and murdering animals on the other islands.
So now it's not like you call it Tom Nook's Ultimate Island Expansion. You've outgrown your island that you made in Animal Crossing, and now you have to start invading other people's island with your members that you've brought to your island to live there. And then every single time you take over a new island, you can take on some of their community members, and you grow your little army as you take over island by island.
Only one of four, the other three have to die.
JaVale says, why are you always trying to fight, Aaron? It's in my nature. It's the chaos that rages within me. So yeah. Mike says this is the real fine print on the Nook lending agreement.
Yeah. If you don't read it,
now that you've paid off your final loan, I'd like to show you the last page of your contract that says you owe me 3 islands.
It's actually,
and I take them by blood.
Yeah, it's actually just a battle royal, like Hunger Games, where you just drop on an island. You got to kill the other animals.
Oh, I'm into it. Did you play Animal Crossing, the new one?
Mm-hmm. I played it for a little bit.
Yeah, one of the island members that you can get is a clown. Like that's the first one I'm gonna go find to take out.
See, but that's probably like a level 100 boss.
it's literally the last island, and it's King Clown.
Awful. But you'll have that buff, whoever that buff animal is on your first island, that always that person talking about working out. That'll be like your tank.
Oh yeah. Every time you talk to him, he's like, "I just got done getting a sweat on."
Yeah,
he's gonna be your first henchman. And now I picture this Animal Crossing Neighbor War game as either XCOM style, or it could play like Yakuza, like a dragon, and you start putting together warring factions.
There's so many places you could take Animal Crossing that are better than normal Animal Crossing.
I know. So Nintendo, if you're listening, sign us up. We're here to help you write really good Animal Crossing games that involve nothing but pure violence. Because in this house, we always choose violence. Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions for you, I'll give them just a second to wrap up. Where can the good people find you, sir?
All right. So the number one place to find me is at Adam Gumby on Twitter. And that is the quickest way to find the links to all the other stuff. Again, Misfit Trolls, as we say, Misfit Rolls, Twitter, ECG Pod, and Radio Roost are the 3 podcasts that I do. But yeah, at Adam Gumby, you can follow me. I'll talk about football and pizza and kind of funny and literally everything. But yeah, that's where you find all the links. So head up there.
Excellent. And then tell the people just a little bit, where do you when do you record? Is any of it live? Where can they find the shows?
Yeah, all the shows should be on all podcast services. They normally, every one of those goes up once a week. ECG tries to go out on Friday. Mr. Rolls goes on Sunday. Radio Roost goes on Friday. So just look for the Twitters, type those into your podcast services, and there should be a new one every week.
Awesome, man. Well, you were an excellent guest despite your takes on Johnny Cage. We'll get him in the sequel. Actually, I liked that you just wanted to like backdoor him as a side character into the sequel. I'm actually pretty into that idea. Otherwise, thank you so much for being an excellent guest. That concludes the 8th episode of the Awesomely Average Show. As always, thanks so much for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. Our show is live every single Tuesday on twitch.tv/awesomelyaveragegaming, or you can find us on YouTube as soon as YouTube support does what they need to do to get me, youtube.com/awesomelyaverage. It won't give me my unique URL yet, but thank you everyone who subscribed. We did hit 100 subscribers. That was awesome. You can always find me at Twitter at Aronseany, AARONSEANEY, where I'm sure to be talking about Superman, video games, kind of funny, pizza as well, or taking over the world with my twin Courtney. That does it for the show. Thanks so much for listening. As always, I'm Average. You're awesome. We'll see you next time.